My name's Ian Danby. I'm the director of the Burton Art Gallery, and I'm here with Paul Lewin, who is this year's Environmental Commission, and we are experiencing the most delightful day over just outside Appledore. Paul's doing some painting. So, Paul, tell me, do you always work outside? Is this?
Not always. Mostly, if I'm exploring a new place, I will do. But larger pieces I do in the studio. But where I get my inspiration is outside, being in the landscape. That's my initial inspiration for anything, really. The experience of being there. Yeah.
And it's working. You're currently using Biddeford Black, and
Yeah.
I know you've got some yellow clay from exactly where we're sat.
Yeah.
Is that always part of your practice, or?
It occasionally, but when I'm in North Devon, I use Biddeford Black a lot because it is part of the landscape here. It doesn't feel right using it anywhere else, to be honest. It only feels like I can use it correctly in North Devon. Anywhere else, it's out of place.
Yeah. And do you have other substances that you use? Because obviously you're based in Cornwall. Do you use other substances there from the land, or is this just a unique bit to us, really?
It's unique to this part of Devon.
Right.
Yeah, really. I do occasionally use clay and earth in my paintings from all over. Wherever I am, I will look around for materials that might be used. But somehow it's North Devon that I mainly use found materials.
And how long have you been living in Cornwall?
Well, 20 years now.
Yeah.
15 years.
And where did you move? Where did you move from North Devon?
Yeah. And before that I was in Cornwall, so I spent about 6 years in North Devon around 2000. That's where I first started using Biddeford Black. I'd heard about it, and then I heard from a local in Abbotsham where I lived that you could see the seam at the cliffs. So I went down and found it, this black streak in the cliffs, and picked some out and started painting with it. Actually, you don't need to process it. You can actually use it directly from the ground. So I started a series of paintings, one of which was in an exhibition at the Burton Art Gallery.
And one which is in our collection.
That's it, yeah. So it's that process of exploring a place and looking around for materials to use in situ that I think really connects me to a landscape. And I'm hoping that this Environmental Commission, my work will do the same to people viewing it. They'll see a connection to a place. And the mud flats around here are not considered the most conventionally beautiful, but to me they are incredibly inspiring. The reflections, the wet mud, it's a beautiful spot to paint. So I'm hoping that comes across in my work.
And obviously the environmental commissions that we have said are very much about locating people in the environment and talking about the unique landscape that we've got in North Devon.
Yeah.
And I think for us, obviously we're delighted that you have the 3 paintings, but obviously one of the things that's interesting is that this environment changes, and it will continue to change and evolve. Sand moves and things like that. So in your experience, have you sort of seen any of the changes that have happened?
Yeah, I mean, the landscape is always in flux, and I do notice the changes. One of the privileges about being a landscape artist is that you revisit a place again and again, and you do notice changes like that. And unfortunately, I'm of an age where I'm old enough to witness erosion, so I can definitely see how things have changed. And there are places along the coastline where cliffs have fallen, and it's made a dramatic change to what I paint. Such a beautiful yellow, this, straight from the ground.
And that's just local clay mixed with water.
Yeah. And it reflects the landscape so perfectly, because that clay colour is in the rock around here.
Where did you train?
I went to Bristol Polytechnic to do fine art, which was a very traditional course then. So there were lots of life drawing classes and colour theory and stuff like that you don't get anymore.
And was landscape always part of your practice, and was it just?
Yeah, landscape. I did a lot of drawings in Bristol of the landscape, and as well as the life drawings and figure painting. But it was Cornwall that, when I moved to Cornwall, that really switched me on to landscape painting.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you feel that the art world is progressing at the moment? Do you feel, obviously we've just been through a very difficult pandemic period, but you were saying earlier that you've been sustained throughout that time by commissions and things. Is it still easy to get a gallery show? Are you still getting lots of offers of work and things?
Yeah, that's not changed. I think there's probably, pent up demand. I think the importance of the arts has been highlighted, and I think that pleasure that people took for granted about going to a gallery, seeing work in the flesh, that was taken away for a while, and now people are coming back in their droves, I think, to catch up on that. And maybe that's, the silver lining is that people aren't taking the arts for granted so much.
Yeah.
Whether it's music or visual arts, it's it's something that's been badly affected, and I think people are appreciating it more.
Yeah. And as you work here, can you tell if something's a good picture to start off with? Can you tell from the first few strokes, or does it just take a while? Sometimes you have to work harder than others.
Yeah, each painting has its own course, runs its own course. Some flow fairly easily, others are a struggle from the start, but it's often the ones that are a struggle that are the best. So I always try and take a painting to completion.
Well, we're currently looking from Appledore right over to the Skern, and we are fortunate to have one of the most beautiful autumn days ever, and I shall leave you to get on painting. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.